What if I told you that one of the fastest, most expensive, and most exclusive car brands in the world was not born from engineering ambition, but from art? What if I told you that Bugatti was never meant to be just a car company, but a philosophy where beauty mattered as much as speed and perfection was demanded at any cost? And what if I told you that this obsession with perfection would both elevate Bugatti to legendary status and almost destroy it completely? To understand Bugatti, you must go back to a time before supercars, before racing glory, before modern luxury, back to one man who believed machines could be masterpieces. Ettore Bugatti, the man before the brand. Ettore Bugatti was born in 1881 in Milan, Italy, into a family of artists. His father was a well-known furniture designer and artist. His brother was a sculptor. Creativity surrounded Ettore from childhood. But while others in his family shaped wood and stone, Ettore became fascinated with metal, motion, and mechanics. To Ettore, machines were not cold, were lifeless. They were expressions of elegance. He believed an engine could be as beautiful as a painting and a car as refined as a sculpture. This belief would define everything Bugatti would ever become. Unlike many early automotive pioneers, Ettore was not focused on mass production. He did not want to build cars for everyone. He wanted to build cars that were perfect. The birth of Bugatti. In 1909, Ettore Bugatti founded Automobiles Ettore Bugatti in Molsheim, a small town in Alsace, then part of Germany, later France. From the beginning, Bugatti was different. Where other manufacturers focused on reliability and practicality, Ettore focused on design, precision, and performance. He personally oversaw nearly every detail of his cars, from engine layout to chassis proportions. Bugatti cars were light, fast, and elegant. They were not just machines, they were statements. Ettore famously said that nothing was too beautiful and nothing was too expensive if it achieved perfection. This philosophy attracted wealthy customers, racers, and royalty. Bugatti quickly became a symbol of prestige. Racing as a proving ground. For Ettore, racing was not just competition, it was validation. Bugatti cars entered races across Europe and they won, frequently. The Bugatti Type 13 became known for its agility and reliability. While larger competitors relied on brute power, Bugatti focused on balance, lightweight design, and efficiency. Victories built reputation. Reputation built demand. By the 1920s, Bugatti was one of the most respected names in motorsport and luxury automobiles. But Ettore was not satisfied. The golden age of Bugatti. The 1920s and early 1930s marked Bugatti's golden age. This period produced some of the most iconic automobiles ever created. The Bugatti Type 35 became one of the most successful racing cars in history. It dominated Grand Prix racing with its distinctive horseshoe grille and advanced engineering. At the same time, Bugatti produced luxury touring cars for the elite. These vehicles were crafted with extraordinary attention to detail. Engines were polished, components were styled, even when hidden from view. To Ettore, beauty mattered everywhere. Bugatti cars were expensive, rare, and admired. Owning one was not just about transportation, it was about status and taste. The Type 41 Royale, ambition without limits. Ettore's most ambitious project was the Bugatti Type 41 Royale. This car was designed for royalty, literally. The Royale was massive, powerful, and exquisitely detailed. It featured one of the largest engines ever placed in a passenger car. Ettore believed kings and emperors would line up to buy it. They did not. Only a handful were ever built. The cost was enormous. the timing was terrible. The Great Depression struck soon after. The Royale became a symbol of Bugatti's greatest strength and greatest weakness: uncompromising vision. Warning signs began to appear. By the early 1930s, the world was changing. Economic instability reduced demand for ultra-luxury vehicles. Racing regulations shifted. Competition increased. Bugatti remained committed to craftsmanship and exclusivity, but the market was shrinking. At the same time, internal pressure mounted. Ettore maintained strict control over the company. Decisions flowed through him alone. Innovation depended heavily on his vision. This worked until it didn't. Jean Bugatti, the heir. Ettore's son, Jean Bugatti, emerged as a gifted designer and engineer. Jean combined his father's artistic sensitivity with a more modern understanding of aerodynamics and style. Under Jean's influence, Bugatti produced some of its most beautiful designs, including the legendary Type 57 Atlantic. Jean represented the future of Bugatti. Then tragedy struck. In 1939, Jean Bugatti died in a testing accident at the age of 30. The loss devastated Ettore and the company. A world on the edge. As Europe moved toward war, Bugatti stood vulnerable. Factories were disrupted, resources became scarce, the future grew uncertain. Bugatti had reached the height of automotive art, but the world was about to change in ways that perfection alone could not overcome. As Europe descended toward conflict, Bugatti found itself trapped between history and geography. Molsheim, the home of Bugatti, sat in Alsace, a region repeatedly passed between Germany and France. This location, once an advantage for trade and influence, became a vulnerability as political tensions escalated. When World War II began in 1939, Bugatti's operations were immediately disrupted. Racing stopped, luxury buyers disappeared, resources were redirected toward military needs. The world that valued beauty, craftsmanship, and speed had vanished overnight. The factory under occupation. With the outbreak of war, Molsheim fell under German control. The Bugatti factory was seized and repurposed for war-related production. Ettore Bugatti, an Italian living in what was now occupied territory, was forced to flee. He left behind the company he had built with absolute control and personal oversight. Without Ettore, Bugatti lost its guiding force. Designs stalled, development ceased, the spirit that had defined the brand was gone. Ettore Bugatti in exile. Ettore spent the war years separated from his factory, his workers, and his vision. He attempted to stay involved from afar, but communication was limited, authority was stripped, the company no longer operated under his philosophy. The death of his son Jean still weighed heavily on him. The loss of both his heir and his company left Ettore isolated. By the time the war ended, Bugatti was no longer a functioning automobile manufacturer. Post-war reality. When peace returned to Europe, the world had changed. People needed affordable transportation. Nations focused on rebuilding infrastructure. Luxury and racing were no longer priorities. Bugatti, once known for its extravagance, now seemed out of place. The factory in Molsheim was returned, but the damage was severe. Equipment was outdated. Financial resources were limited. Skilled workers had moved on. Ettore attempted to restart automobile production, but the conditions that once supported Bugatti no longer existed. Failed attempts at revival. Bugatti introduced a few post-war prototypes, attempting to modernize the brand while preserving its identity. These efforts failed. The designs were expensive. The market was small. Competitors were producing reliable, mass-market vehicles at lower cost. Bugatti had never been built for mass production. In the new economic reality, this became a fatal flaw. Without sufficient sales or investment, the company could not survive. Ettore Bugatti's final years. Ettore Bugatti died in 1947. With his death, The brand lost not just its founder, but its soul. Bugatti ceased producing cars entirely. The name survived only in history books, racing records, and the memories of collectors. For decades, Bugatti existed as a legend without a future. A name without a company. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, the Bugatti name remained respected but inactive. Collectors preserved existing cars, museums displayed them as art, auctions elevated their value. Bugatti became a symbol of a lost era when automobiles were handcrafted, elegant, and deeply personal. But the brand itself was silent. Attempts to resurrect the legend. Over the years, several attempts were made to revive Bugatti. None succeeded. The challenge was not technical, it was philosophical. Bugatti had never been about efficiency or volume, it was about perfection. Replicating that vision in a modern world proved extremely difficult. Without the original spirit, revival attempts felt hollow. The world moves on. As decades passed, the automotive industry transformed. Manufacturers focused on reliability, safety, emissions, and cost. Supercars emerged, but even they were products of corporate strategy rather than artistic obsession. Bugatti remained frozen in time, a legend from another age. Many believed that was how it should remain. The turning point. In the late 20th century, something changed. Global wealth increased, technology advanced, ultra-luxury markets re-emerged, and one powerful company began looking for a name that represented absolute prestige. They found Bugatti. When the Bugatti Veyron finally entered production, the automotive world struggled to understand what it was witnessing. This was not simply another supercar. It was a machine built to answer a question that no one else had dared to ask seriously. What happens if engineering is pushed without compromise, without regard for cost, and without concern for practicality? Bugatti did not revive itself to compete. It revived itself to redefine limits. Living with the impossible. The Veyron was designed to be driven daily, yet its capabilities bordered on the unbelievable. At full speed, it consumed fuel at a rate that drained its tank in minutes. Its tires, engineered specifically for the car, required replacement after limited high-speed use. Maintenance costs were extraordinary, and yet owners did not complain. The Veyron was never meant to be rational. It was meant to be an experience reserved for a select few. People who valued exclusivity, engineering mastery, and symbolism above all else. Each Veyron was assembled by hand. Each component was inspected, polished, and tested to standards closer to aerospace than automotive manufacturing. Bugatti was not building cars, it was building proof. The challenge of success. Despite its technological triumph, the Veyron was a financial loss. Development costs far exceeded revenue. Volkswagen accepted this knowingly. Bugatti's purpose was not profit, it was prestige. The Veyron served as a halo, a demonstration of what the Volkswagen Group could achieve when pushed to the extreme. The knowledge gained would influence engineering across the company. Still, the question remained, what comes after the impossible? Enter the Chiron. In 2016, Bugatti unveiled its successor to the Veyron, the Chiron. Named after the legendary racing driver Louis Chiron, the new model was not a replacement but an evolution. It refined everything the Veyron had introduced. More power, more torque, more stability, but also greater comfort, better usability, and improved craftsmanship. The Chiron represented maturity. Where the Veyron had been a technological statement, the Chiron was a complete product, balanced between raw performance and refined luxury. Art meets modern technology. Bugatti's modern cars paid homage to Ettore Bugatti's original philosophy. The interiors featured hand-stitched leather, machined metal components, and bespoke customization. No two Bugattis were exactly alike. Customers were invited to personalize their vehicles extensively. Colors, materials, finishes, all selected to match individual taste. This personalization echoed the early days of Bugatti, when each car reflected the personality of its owner. The pursuit of speed continues. Bugatti continued to push boundaries. Special editions of the Chiron pursued speed records, culminating in models capable of exceeding 490 kilometers per hour. Each achievement reinforced Bugatti's reputation as the ultimate expression of automotive performance. Yet these milestones were not about bragging rights alone. They were demonstrations of engineering discipline, of precision, balance, and control at extremes few would ever experience. A brand above numbers. In an era where sustainability, efficiency, and automation dominate automotive conversations, Bugatti exists outside conventional logic. It does not chase volume. It does not follow trends. It does not compete in traditional segments. Bugatti represents a philosophy that perfection, when pursued honestly, still has value, even if it is rare, expensive, and impractical. The future without speed alone. As the industry moves towards electrification, Bugatti faces a defining moment. Speed alone is no longer enough. Bugatti's challenge now is philosophical rather than technical: how to preserve its identity while adapting to a changing world. The answer appears to lie in redefining performance, not just in terms of speed, but in craftsmanship, experience, and emotion. The legacy continues. From Ettore Bugatti's artistic vision to the modern hypercars of today, Bugatti has always existed at the intersection of art and engineering. It rose by rejecting compromise. It fell because the world changed. It returned because technology finally caught up with its ambition. Bugatti's story is not just about cars. It is about obsession, about perfection pursued without apology, about refusing to be ordinary, even when it would be easier. In a world of mass production and rational choices, Bugatti remains deliberately unreasonable, and that is why it endures. Final thought. Bugatti is not meant for everyone. It never was. It exists to remind the world of what is possible when limits are ignored and vision is absolute. From rise to fall to rebirth, Bugatti remains a legend not because of how fast it goes, but because of how far it is willing to go.